Okay, Nun Hey Amid Beis. Nun Hey Amid Beis. 5 lines in the bottom. Tanya, Rabbi Yeshua. The Brisa says, Rabbi Yeshua says, Arba Devarim, 4 things. If you do them, the Bezdin Shel Mata can't go ahead and judge you. You'll be Potter, but you be Chayiv Bidei Shemayim. Be Chayiv Din Shemayim. The Eluhain, a pirate sked b'fnei behemis chaveroi. Go ahead and take a fence down in front of your friend. 2, there's a fire that's there, and you take your friend's car and you bend it over, and as a result, so you grummet minisakin. You hire out Adim to testify. You know Adis, and you do not go ahead and again, it's nonetheless you put me down. The Gemara is going to ask it's the Raisa. So why does he have to tell you? If you know Adis, you don't testify. So Baruch saying correct that the Torah is mechayiv you. So what's Rabbi Yeshua being mechadish over here? The Gemara is going to say it's speaking about you're an Eid Echad. Is that two Eidim? Okay. Amamar. Now, what does Amamar mean? It means now you're going back over the Brisa. So we just said 4 things, right? And now Amamar we're going to explain. For the rest of your life, guys, you'll know this now. Then it means Amamar. You translate, the master says what it means. You just said a Brisa, but you didn't explain it. Now Amamar, we're going to explain the Brisa. Amamar. A pirate scared they behemoth chaveroi. Hey Chidami, what exactly is that case? What exactly is the case of pirate scared that you put them in the Nishamayim? Elaim b'kaisa bari. Let's say the animal is behind a very, very strong fence, and now you broke the fence. So B'dina Yodam Nami Mechayev, Rashi says on the fence. B'dina Yodam also should be Chayev, right? Rashi says on the fence. After all, you broke a healthy fence. Ella, it must be speaking b'kaisa ruah. It must be speaking what? A kaisa ruah that is, you can't be Mechayev for the fence, right? Because it's not worth anything. Because it's going to be knocked down anyway. So this is a grama, like you cause the animals to go out. And therefore, you put them in the other Nishmayim. Amamar, now going back over the second case, someone goes ahead and bends over the kama, the standing grain of his friend in front of a deleika. You put them in the other Nishmayim. Hekidami. If it's right, in other words, when you did this, you could have figured out that in fact that the deleika was going to get there. Why? Because a ruach mitsuya, a ruach that you could have anticipated coming. So this is not considered grama. This was considered hezek biyadayim, right? This would be direct hezek, right? You turned it over, and you know the wind's going to come at that particular wind, so you were mazik. So b'dinei adam nami nechayev. Ella must be the matya beruach sheina mitsuya. It must be that what? The matya beruach sheina mitsuya. It reached a bit of ruach that you could not have anticipated, and therefore you're potter. Okay. Rashi says a pshat. It's not speaking where you took the grain and went ahead and put it to the fire. What you did was you went ahead and covered up the grain, and now you made it tamon. So there was a person who went ahead and lit the lake in another person's yard. In other words, he wasn't shimer, and had you not been a good Samaritan and let things go, he would have been chayiv to pay. The Aish would have burnt his field, he would be chayiv to pay. But you're a good Samaritan, what do? You go ahead and you cover it up. What happens now? We know that Oya Kama teaches me that Tomin Be'esh is Pata. It has to be revealed like a Kama. So we like Bar and Kalim. So too is what is Kama by what? By Tomin Be'esh. So what you did was you caused what? A loss to your friend. But you caused it. It was causative, right? It was a grama. And that was what? That's Tomin. So he must touch the word that you went ahead and that you bent, means you covered over the grain. Because you made it Tomin Beish. Now, there's a fascinating Tosfos over here. Let's jump the gun a little bit, guys. Look at the two Tosfos from the bottom. Kisuya Kasi. In other words, you could have said the following. You could have said to the guy, listen, why should I be chayav even be dinei shamayim? I'm a good guy. I did this. And he really meant it. Let's say he really meant to be a good Samaritan. L'shem shamayim, right? In other words, he wanted to save the friend's field. He took blankets and he wet them and he covered it up, right? and it burnt anyway. But he really meant it, correct? So the Gemara is going to say that he has a taina, he covered it up. So Hashem knows what he really meant. Listen to this Chiddush, guys. His kavana was l'shem shayim that it should not burn so quickly. And as a result of delaying it, the balabais maybe were able to save his grain. Why? The boy you don't go ahead and even a kosher cheshbon, you can be the nicest guy in the world, right? Be the nicest guy in the world. You make a tremendous cheshbon that you're going to go ahead and save the guy. Afal Pekin, you should have thought ahead. Guess what? Unless you're a lamdin and know that Tamim Be'esh is pata, you wouldn't have done it. So again, let's not be so negative, Yankel, right? Even though I thought about that. So no, but again, Tais is a chiddush nifla, guys. You see that even you can be mechavim for the best thing and you're part of you're going to be chayiv. Okay, so we said two cases: a pirates get them they come as chaveroi, and the second case of koifif. Get them behemis chaveroi, koifif kamas shel chaveroi. Why you put them in the yad mechayim in the shemayim? Amamar. Now again, Amamar for the third time. Now we're going to explain the third case. Asaycher edei sheker. If you rent that edei sheker to go ahead and testify, now heki dami. Ilay melenafshei. He went ahead and he wants to save himself a few bucks, so he went ahead and he hired that he should save the moine boy shlume within the admachayev. He's himamish. If he's hiding from himself, then that moment that he wants to be mitzi, Yechayev l'hachser. He be chayev to right. In other words, you rented Eidim to take money away from your friend, and then you were successful. So of course you have to return that money. What do you mean? You successfully rent false Eidim. You extrapolate from the guy $100,000. You don't have to return it. What are you talking about? Of course that you have to return it. El must be l'chavre. It must be that Ruvain hired Eidim to go for somebody else. That Shimon should make some money from Levi. So he hired. He's not gaining by it. His friend's gaining by it. That and the fourth case, if you know Eidus for your friend and you're not made for him, so if you're to Eidim Pshita Daraisahu, Benji's point. Sorry guys, this is a Chiv Daraisa. If you know Eidus for somebody and you don't testify and it's to Eidim, you're Chayiv Shvus Eidus. It's true that you don't know. So what are you talking about? That you're not going to be Chayiv Bidei what? Only bidei shemayim. If you don't testify for nasei avayna, you'll carry your oven, you'll carry your aver with you. Ella must be speaking what bechad. There's only one aid. Bechad is only one aid, and that's it. There's only one aid, and memela what? Those are the four cases where you're part of the shemayim. Fred the Gemara v'suleka. Okay, now guys, we're gonna have a whole smorgasbord of different cases. Okay, a whole smorgasbord of suleka v'ika, and the simon is the oisa, basis, besam, ushliach, chavero, and nishbar. Now, we know this halacha of mechatas, that the water of the chatas, the paraduma, it says, l'mishmeres l'meinida. You have to mishmeres. Mishmeres means for only for meinida, to be only for meinida, you can't do anything else. The water that's used for the paraduma, right, you can't go ahead and use it for anything else. So if I have it in a bottle of paraduma water, and I need it, it's exactly a kilo, and I need it to on the other side of a scale, if I would use it, I'd passel it, right? Did I make a change in the water? No. Paradum itself, if you go ahead and use the paraduma, oil, right? You can't go ahead and use the paraduma. If you do, you messed up the paraduma. In both cases, it's a hesek shein and nikko. In Gittin, guys, you don't recognize the difference in the water. You don't recognize, but guess what? You put them in the other chayim nishamayim. So why do we include that? You said only four cases, Rabbi Yeshua. Here's another case. If you put poison in front of your friend's animal and he eats it, he dies. Right? So he's also part. He shouldn't have eaten it. Poison is not so good. If you send a fire in the hands of cotton, if you scare your friend, the friend is against the wall and you bang the wall and it scares him. You don't hit him directly and you scare him and he loses his hearing. And we had this. You have a barrel in Shusarabim, you break it, and now you have water all over Shusarabim, like sulka, and you don't clean it up. Nafla, and somebody falls. Nafla gamloi. Your camel falls down below your mida. So you have two cases where you created a bar and you didn't clean it up. So l'chera, you have a bunch of cases, guys. So look at Simon, Oisa Paras Vechatas, Sam Chaveresh, Sholech Biad Becher Shet V'Kotten, and Nishbra Kada, you went ahead and you broke it, so or you scared your friend. So you have a whole bunch of cases besides those 4 cases. So why are you limited to those 4 cases? What? It is the word Chaveroi. Amabas Chaveroi. The word Chaveroi is the Simon. Says the Gemara in Mia Ikatuva. You have this. There's more. Ikatuva. There are plenty of cases. But these 4 cases, there's unique chiddush in each case, and therefore we learned that. Mal detema b'dina shemayim nami lo l'chayev. You should be chayvin b'dina shemayim. Kamash malon, that you are. In other words, you would think over here you're totally off the hook. Kamash malon, that you're on the hook. Haparitz gedef lebehemis chaveroi mahu. The tema, I would have thought. Kivin del mister yokoi. You're going to knock the fence down anyway. Ma ovid, what did he do? So b'dina shemayim nami lo l'chayev. Kamash malon is chayev. Hakoif kamasa shel chaveroi nami. L'chayra. What? The tema lema. We have a yadana de asi ruach sheina mitzuya. It's speaking about a case of ruach sheina mitzuya. I should anticipate a hurricane would come, and I would therefore think of b'dina shemayim nami lo l'chayev kamash malon. Uravashi dama nami tamin itmar. So mal the tema. This is the taisus we did. Anoki suya kasiyeh nelech. Right? I did it l'shem shemayim. I did it for the right reason. So why am I chayev? Ub'dina shemayim nami lo l'chayev kamash malon. And the final 2 cases. Asaychere de shekenami. Mal the tema lema divrei arav divrei talmud divrei mishomim. Guys, ain't shliach levar avera. Correct? Someone goes there and tells you to kill somebody. You kill somebody who's chayiv. You are why? Divrei arav, Kodesh Baruch Hu tells you not to. Divrei talmud, the person who told you, don't listen to him. You listen to Ben Shloim. So we said you lashana reachet shocker. So what are you doing? So I would think that nami lo lechayev kamash lo yechayev. Vayidei edis sheker. Vayidei edis lechavera. You know edis. They in the meidlo and you don't testify on his behalf. Nami mal de tema mi yema de chihavi misadin le havi moida. How do I know that what? You're an eidechad, guys. An eidechad can be mechayiv you a shvua. He came mechayiv al pi shnayim made the yakum dava in dinei mominus. You need 2. Good. And we said that's not over here. It's not speaking about 2. There's only 1. So now you want to be mechayiv b'dina shemayim. Maybe the guy would have admitted the truth, and maybe he would have given the money because he didn't want to swear. What could I be mechayiv him? I can mechayiv him a shvua. There's a person who say, I'd rather pay the money than make a shvua. So maybe I didn't cause a loss anyway. Says Gemara, that he owes the money. Like I said the opposite. Maybe he would have sworn falsely, the opposite, right? So the chiddush should at least 4 cases. What there's a patur wad of din shemayim. Now, what does it mean when it says that you're patum din l'chayim shemayim? What does that mean? So I listened to Rabbi Bronstein today. He said two sheetas. Sheetas Meiri and sheetas Rashi. Okay, Meiri says the following: when you go ahead and say a person is patum din shemayim, so therefore I broke something. This should be a tashlum of money, correct? Says the Meiri, bidei shemayim, you should pay that money. When it says you're patum din shemayim, means it doesn't mean you're off the hook. Pater b'nei adam means I can't be mechayiv b'nei adam, but the same chiyuv you would have had I could have been mechayiv b'nei adam, then you're chayiv b'shamayim to make up. So you be chayiv in this case to go ahead and monetarily make up the money. That's the way the Meiri learns. So again, when it says pater b'nei adam, it means clearly, but you can't. This court can't charge you. But chayiv b'nei shamayim means we're chayiv in shamayim to go ahead and do the right thing. No. Again, most that minute Hasidus usually potter even with the Shemayim also. You even potter with Shemayim. Here, there's a chiyuv there Shemayim. Yeah, that's a chiyuv. Okay, so now Rashi, we learned this Rashi, guys, in Gittin. The Rashi known Gimel Amud Aleph in Gittin in the sug of Hezek Shein and Nika, right? And you metama your tvu of your friend. You put a sheretz on it, right? You go ahead and you work with the paraduma. You use work with the meicha. Hezek Shein and Nika. So Rashi says over there, and here's his lashon, right? Says Rashi, Peronius l'shalem l'rishoyim sheniskavin lahafsedes chaverei. These are Chai B'dei Shemayim, retribution, l'shalem l'rishoyim sheniskavin lahafsedes chaverei. So Rashi says, you know what Chai B'dei Shemayim means? It doesn't mean that in Tashluvim that you make it up. It means in Shemayim they're going to get you for what? For the Avera that you wanted to do. It went out of Momonistic and it went into what? Oinishtik. You're going to be punished. According to Meiri, it stays in the realm of Mammon. Right? You have a chi of Mammon, you have a chi of money, You don't have to. I'm a business shalmata. I can't be mechayiv you, but guess what? If you're shemayim, you got to make it up. So Rashi, you know what it means? If you did this, they're going to get you. They're going to get you, and the Rishonim they're going to get. My nafkamina, huge nafkamina. What happens if you go ahead and chop it? What happens if the person goes ahead and it's typhus? So if there's a chi of money and you typhus it, you can keep it. But if it's like according to the Meiri, but according to Rashi, that there is no chi of money whatsoever. It's a cheshbon shemayim. You'd have to give it back. You have to give it back. That's a very so nice.
So the person's left this, and his relatives can pay it back. And
again, there's a chi. It depends where there's a chi of mammon. Yeah, right. We said you want to make do the right thing for the mifta. Okay, but that would be a good shot in what's the difference in chai bin shemaim in chai bin shemaim. So one, it's more of a mammonistic chi of straightforward according to Meiri. According to Rashi, it's clearly why it's a din in Peronius, and you can get punished because you were Russia. Okay, says Gemara Vayta. Nifritza b'layla oisha pretzu listim. Okay, we need the first case. We need the case. Nifritza b'layla. What happens? It falls down at night. Now, Amar Rabba. Now, how'd the animal get out? Nifritza b'layla. How'd the animal get out? For who shechasra? The animal dug its way out. So now, if the animal digs its way out, it has nothing to do with the fence falling, right? The animal dug its way out. Avaloi chasra mai chayed. Let's say the fence fell down, right? And the animal didn't dig its way out, you'd be chayiv. According to Rabbi says this is provided that it digs its way out. Avaloi chasra my chayiv. Further 1 second. Hey chidami. Let's if based upon this let's analyze. Hey chidami. Ilema b'koisel bari. If you're speaking about a healthy wall, correct? Kiloi chasra my chayiv. If the animal did not dig its way out, why should you be chayiv? My havlo lemevid. In other words, this is not your kedinatri insha. You did a shmira. You did a good shmira. You had a healthy wall up there, and the animal got out. So got out. What can you do? Ella, what did Rabba mean? It must be speaking because the ru'ah. It's a bad wall. So ki chasra. Now, conversely, fellas, if it's a bad wall, meaning it's not a good shmira, so why do you need chasra to get me off get me off the hook? I'm on the hook because it's allowed. You didn't do a good shmira. Ki chasra my pata. Why is this a case of, guys? That the wall will fall down. The seifa ba'inus, and the animal dug his way out. Guys, outside. You go ahead. You said it did. You know when your pata is when the animal digs its way out. What did Rabba mean by that? If it's a healthy wall, I don't need, even if it falls down and the animal goes out on pata, I don't need him digging his way out to get me off the hook. I did a good shmir. I put up a good wall. And if it's a lousy wall, then why do I need it to dig its way out? Even if it doesn't dig its way out, I'm going to be what? Either way, I'll be chayiv. And if it does dig its way out, I'll be chayiv. Why? I was chilasa initially paishay. I didn't do a good shmira because I didn't do a good shmira that the wall's going to fall down. Taka, the wall did not fall down, and the animal got out. So it's chilasa pashia on a lousy wall. It wasn't a good shmira. And sleifa b'oinus, that what? It wasn't the wall. It was something else. Chilasa pashia was sleifa b'oinus according to one man yom chayiv. So says the Gemara to follow. Very good. So it's speaking about that the chasra. So this din of Rabba that he said chasra cannot be going on nifetza b'layla. It doesn't. It can't. Maman of shach. If it's a healthy wall, afilu without chasra pater. If it's a not healthy wall, then why do you need chasra at all? The Mishnah is speaking about a healthy wall, and even if it fell down stamazai, and it didn't think it's at your pata, right? I did a good shmira. I put up a wall. Now, the Rabba, where did Rabba say his din of what of ki chasra? Where did Rabba say his din? As-Seifa. He said it on the Seifa of the Mishnah, Itmar. As-Seifa Itmar. Why did the Seifa of the Mishnah say? Hanicha b'chama, if you left the animals out in the sun, or you gave the animals over to Chereshait of a cotton. We need the first case, guys. Just like the first case of the difference of Alayla, here also we need the case of that you left it out in the sun. If you left it out in the sun and it went out and did damage, then chayiv. Good. That now, Amar Rabba is going to go ahead and define when are you chayiv. Va'afilu chasra, and even if an oinus happens and it digs its way out, you left it out in the sun, guys. Why is not a wall and not a good shmira now? Because the animal's going to go nuts. The animal's going crazy. It's hot, they're sweaty, they're going to do anything to get out of the sun. They want to be in the shade, right? They want to be in the palm trees. They want things to be good. Anyway, what happens over here? So even if not only where they didn't go ahead and dig their way out, they knocked down the wall. That's certainly your posheya. Even if they dug their way out, which l'chayra had nothing to do with the strength of the wall, I would think and your potter, it's chilasa b'shia to going out the normal way. Again, because the sun is beating down on them, they're going to go nuts and leave. Seifa ba'oinis that they dug their way out, which they could have done any which way. Kamash malon, the kula pshia, it's all pshia. Now, why is the whole pshia? They dug their way out. My timer, Damalei, made the Yodas, the keeping the Shavkas Bechama, Colt Tadek, any which way, the Islay Lamevad of the Vinafka. In other words, if they're so hot, they're going to go ahead and dig their way out. They're going to get out of there. They're so hot. So we're qualifying Rabbi's din. Rabbi's din of Fusha Chasra is going on the Seifa, that even if they dig their way out, in a case where normally it is a noinus, since you left it out in the sun, it's a pshia. Since you left out the pshia, why? Because it's not an oinus digging, because they can do anything in their power to get out of the sun. I'd see a listen chayavim. If we said the listen take it out, the listen chayavim. If listen take it out, the listen will be chayav. Now, pshita, even the afkua kaimile b'shasayu, since they went ahead and they took it out, says Rashi, Ika Meshicha B'Shina Reshus, Davi Kanuya L'chol Mili. In other words, we know there's a parsha of kinyanim even by Ganovim to put it in your Reshus. We're going to see Perek Meruba deals with it extensively. So, L'chayro, Afkur means Afkur, means what? What do? They physically pull the animals out. Now, the animals are no longer in the Reshus of the Baal HaTzayin. They're now the Ganav's Reshus. And in addition, they made a kinyan Mashiach. So who else should be chayiv? Heitzil listim and listim take him out the chayiv. Pshita kivin afkua kaima labrishasaya l'chamili. Says like tzricha the kamalo ba'apa. They didn't do Mashiach like you thought they did, but they stood in front of it. Rashi the kamalo ba'apa shalei mashchuhu. They didn't make a kinyan. They didn't pull it. Ela amdu befaneha. They stood in front of the sign, l'chol tzad, shleitelech ona va'ona, ela l'kam alachol. In other words, they stood on both sides and they directed it without doing anything. They didn't make a kinyan. So the chiddush is, even though they didn't make a kinyan, but they were there and allowed the animals to go out, they would be chai. They would be in their rishus and they'd be chai if it does damage. Kihod amarav, masna amarav, hamayimid behemis chaveru al kamas chaveru chayev. Someone goes ahead and takes his friend's behema, he puts it on top of one, he leads it to another field, right? And the animal eats. So he's feeding his friend's animal. Rashi said, Taisvis, good, back in the Gemara. So Maimid Pshita, the Havamina guy's Maimid is you took it, you grabbed it, and you put it there. So like a kinyan, you were holding on to it. So what's the chiddush? Like tzricha the kamle be'apa. In other words, the animal was wandering away. You stood in front of the animal, and as a result, when you stood it went into what? The kama, and it ate the kama. So Amalei Ba'al Rabbi Yosef, you have no raya. Hikisha Amidlon, by Maimid, it's speaking where he hit the animal. And even though he wasn't Moshech the animal, hitting the animal with a stick and you caused it to move is an equivalent of Mashiach. So here too as well, by the list also Namik Kishur. I mean, speaking about where they went to hit the animals. You have no raya from Maimid. You have no raya from Maimid. So again, it's Dafka Hoitziu, they have to do something. If they just knock down the wall and leave, it's grama, guys. If they just knock down the wall and leave, it's grama. Over here, they did something. Either they stood on the side to kind of direct the animal, or they hit the animal, but they did something. They did something. Now,
It's not grumble because the animal's job is to eat.
They're chayev on the animal eating.
No, because if you bring an animal to the field, it's going to eat. So it's not. That's why it's not grumble. The animal eating.
Where's the grama? There's no grama by the animal eating.
The fact that they ate.
That's not grama. No, that's Shane. That's Shane. That's Shane. Every Shane. That's Shane. That's not grama. It's like when you have an Evan and you fall over the Evan into a bar. What are you going to say? It's a grama? No, it's bar. In other words, you have the mazik. The mazik causes the damage. It's grama. It's not a grama. That's the mazik. Okay. So now, what this case of Maimon Behemoth Chaver? I opened up the shir on Baba Kama 50 or so blot ago with my Rosh Shivas. That's how I still remember his vart about from over here. You see something unique about Maimon Behemoth Chaver Kamas Chavero. So he said three things. He said in Yiddish, he goes, it's interesting. You find three types of shvarim. You find the shvar that's alive and that you own. That's your classic shvar. You have a shvar that's not alive and you own. Avna Sakina Maso, according to Rav, B'Shus Rabin, right, is not what? Is not a bar. What is it? It's a shar. It's a shar. So it's not alive, but you own it. And here you have alive and you don't own it. Because your mind with behemoth chaver, right? I'll come as chaver. So you find the Shiva said in shvar all type of things. You find a shar that's a balchai and you own. You find a shar that you own is not a balchai, and you find a shar that's a balchai and you don't own. So you see, it covered all branches. That's the way he began Baba Kama. I didn't appreciate it till I learned Baba Kama, but you appreciate it now a lot more than you did when I said it opening day. It's very geschmack. Okay, anyway. Masul Roya, Nichnas Roya Tachtav. You give it over to the Roya goes ahead and he takes his place. Nichnas Roya takes his place. Now, I'm Tacht the man. Who's he in place of? Elema Tachtav the Baal Behema. What are you going to tell me? That he now becomes in place of the Baal Behema? Tanina Chadazimna, Masul Shemachina, Mulashayel, and Isisacha, Lasaicha, Kul and Nichnas Tachas Abailam. Pirish. If I would go ahead and go over to a Roya and tell the Roya, watch my. So now, who's in charge of it? The Raya. He is. What if you pay him? He's a Shem Sacha. If you don't pay him, he's a Shem Chinam, right? He can't use it, so he's not a Shoel or a Seicher. But what we already learned that if you go ahead and give it over to a Shomer, the Shomer takes the place of the owner. So why do you? That was a Mishnah on Daf Mem Dalid. What are you telling me over here on Nun Hey, right? If that's a classic Shomer, so you're just calling it a Roya, but he's a Shomer. So of course he's Nichtas Tachas Bailam. Says, what is the bigger Chiddush over here? What's the Chiddush? Ella Tachta of the Shomer. It's speaking where the Shomer gives it over, the Roya gives it over to another Roya. Nichtas Roya Tachta means it takes the place of the Shomer. The Shomer Kama Ifterle. Right. So now, if I go ahead and I give it over to Avrami Weiner, you don't know, he's an expert shepherd. When he was 18 years old, 19 years old, he was there to sell for the summer, and he was in the north and was shepherding sheep, and he told me it was the happiest time of his life. I'm making this all up, but it's not true. Okay. You're right. No, you're right. They give him over. It's like giving it over to Tiny, right? Okay. Anyway, so guys, so listen. If he would go ahead, so no, I give it to Avrami to watch. If Avrami would give it to Yehuda Kerpa to watch, then Yehuda Kerpa. Avrami's off the hook, and who the purpose is my shaymer. In other words, it's not a case of shaymer shemas l'shaymer. So let whatever it is, whatever the deal they make. So now, leimet habi tiyufta de Rava, so that a shaymer can give over to another. The shaymer, let's say this is an upshlag on Rava. The Amar Rava shaymer shemas l'shaymer chayiv. So how could Avrami give it over to Yehuda? So Amalach Rava, what are you talking about? My masul roya. When it says the roya, it says lebarzile. It means to letalmidai. It means to his apprentice. It means the guy who's going to learn to be a shomer. When I gave it to Avrami to watch, it's one understanding that he is going to go ahead and give it to his apprentice to teach him how to watch. So I don't might be caught and be by somebody else. Mashenkin over here, where I know I know that he's going to give it to somebody else, therefore it's permitted. The urche the royal it's the way of the royal to give it over to an apprentice. Iked the army, others say, midikani masru l'roya v'loikatani masru la'acher. When he said masru l'oya, he doesn't say masru la'acher. Shmamina, ma masru l'roya, masru roya l'brazilai. He gave it to his apprentice. The urche the royal l'mesu l'brazilai. Aval la'acher but he can't give it over to somebody else. In other words, if Avrami would give it over to Dak, trust me, Dak's not watching sheep, right? He's in Acha, he's not watching sheep. He's doing much more interesting things. Now, sorry, Dak. Anyway, so he finally comments this is what he gets. Anyway, so guys, so it's mashma dafka because he gives it over to a raya. But if you give it over to Acha, you'd be chayiv. Now it's a raya to Rava, right? That's the the army. In the first lashon, it was a kashan Rava. Now it's a raya to Rava. Dafka if you give it over to raya, you potter. But if you give it over to an Acha who's not a raya, you'd be chayiv. Leim Messiah Rava, Dama Rava, Shemish Mas L'Shem Chayiv. Amiloi. In other words, normally, what's the shepherd going to do? He's going to give it over to another shepherd. But Ken Zayin, even if you gave it over to another person, it would be okay. Why? Because Shleimer is part of. Of course, you gave it to a bendas. We'll see this is a sugya in the third parak of I think Bab Mitzvah. I think that's where it is. Okay.